doing, Pedro? You hanging in there?
It's all good.
No pain?
Nope.
Nurse Jackie is a television show about a nurse in an emergency room in a very busy hospital in Manhattan. I relate to her personality quite a bit, I think. You know, she's kind of, I guess, a bit of a wise ass, and she's pretty strong and tough, and, you know, she has bad language. You know, things like that. I guess I'm very much like that. I don't know that there was a moment I wanted to be an actress, but my mom acted when I was little, community theater, and I used to go with her to her shows and to her rehearsals, and I was completely captivated by this world that these grown-ups were creating. They went off after work to play together, to actually play like kids played, and I saw the joy that it brought my mother and her passion for it, and I just loved it. When I was little, we had a garage in the back of our house. My mother took it and made it into a theater. She made a little proscenium stage, and she started this children's theater company, and I was in a lot of the plays, and I remember that specifically. I remember the audience being there, sitting on benches. It was 75 cents, I think, for the tickets, and all the neighborhood kids came, and yeah, I remember those particular afternoons very well. At a certain point, we had to decide what we wanted to do to go to college and high school, and I assumed I would be a shrink, because that was always very interesting to me, and one of my teachers said, well, aren't you into plays and stuff? Why don't you be an actress? And I thought she was kidding. It just, the idea of being an actress for a job was ridiculous. That's for famous people or whatever. The fact that I'm sitting here now is just the most ridiculously inadvertent thing to occur in the world. So it's just basically by happenstance, because I loved it. My first apartment in the city was in the West Village, and it was really spectacular. It was a huge way to enter into the city. Like many stories of actors, you get some success early on, and then you can assume that that's the way it's always going to be. Money was very scarce. I had awful apartments, so many awful apartments. I had one on 29th Street where I finally decided to wash the windows, and I washed them only to discover that was all that was keeping the glass in. So the big pane of glass slid out of the window and cut the awning of the deli below me. We had to give the rent in cash the first day of the month, or they took the toilet out of the bathroom. Awful things, awful things. I waitressed for a million years. 77th and 1st, it's called Canyon Road. I believe it's still there. And I always left to go do projects. I went off to do this one job, and I made a little bit of money, and I went to go back to the restaurant. I remember it so specifically, and it was just wrong. And I just knew that I can't do this anymore. It's just, I'm done. I had no big plan of action. I just knew it was time to leave the lifeboat, you know what I mean? And literally jump in the water and see what happens. I think that's the last job I had outside of acting. I was at the Printing House gym on Hudson Street, where I got a call from Meg Mortimer, who was my agent at the time. The whole thing was so kind of lackadaisical. I was doing Oz at the time, and I didn't know what Sopranos was. I thought it was about singers. And then they asked me to come in, and I just sort of went, and I wasn't really as prepared as I normally like to be. And then I went to do other things, and it was the next day I was at the gym. You learn after a while. You just go right back to your life, because for the most part, you don't hear back from these people. So yeah, I was on the payphone at Printing House. If I were a saint, I would be like Augustine. He knew there was good in him, and he knew there was some not so good. Make me good, God, but not yet. It's very hard to find something exciting and good coming from where I just came from, so I'd been saying no to a lot of stuff. Nurse Jackie felt like, oh yeah, I could really find myself getting lost in this place. We just have an incredible combination of actors and crew people that, I don't know, I feel incredibly lucky.
Edie Falco is Nurse Jackie.